All right, so today I am going to demonstrate how to complete your collage exploration activity. So there's a couple of things that I need and that you will need. Number one, I highly recommend a photo resource or reference picture that you can work from. This is mainly going to help you pick out colors and see where to add dark and light areas. The second thing you're going to need are magazines. So what I have done is I have gone through and I have cut out just areas of color for each one of the colors that I have in my actual reference image. So since it is skin, I'm looking for some lighter flesh colors over here. And then instead of a white background, I was going to have like a purple and blue background. So I got those also. I have a glue stick, I have an index card, I have a pencil, and then I also have a pair of scissors. So you gather up those supplies. With your reference image in mind, you are going to roughly draw your subject, which is what this little exploration is going to be about on your index card. So I drew it very roughly. It is not perfect. Obviously, it's a hand, and I don't have a lot of negative space. But I also don't have like teeny tiny areas. Like if you have anything smaller than, let's say, um, the end of my pencil, like the eraser, if you have an area that's smaller than that, then you're probably going to want to choose something that has larger spaces. So this is going to be what I glue all of my collage materials onto. You do not have to just use magazine pictures. You can use painted papers and things like that. So I've gone through my catalog. I've cut these out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of sort them into light, medium, and dark. So it'll be a good idea to have different options for each one. So each color, these are my flesh colors, I am cutting them into strips, and then I am cutting them into smaller pieces. They can be random. And I'm going to kind of organize them, like I said, by light, medium, and dark. So here are my lighter values down here. This is probably one of my darkest. I'm going to put that over here. And you can see the size that I'm cutting them. I might need to cut them a little bit smaller later, but I will see how that goes when I start gluing them onto my index card. All right, so this one I'm noticing it's lighter than this one. If you have a hard time with value, one thing to do is maybe just squint your eyes and look at it. Oops. And that can kind of tell me if it's lighter or darker. So this, because you might not get this done in one class period, I recommend that you have like an envelope or a baggie to put your scraps or your cut up pieces of mosaic. The other thing I did is when I chose photos from the magazine, I looked for different textures. So this has like a wood grain texture. This has like a just like plank, wood plank. This is another wood, but it is a it's called like particle board or press board. So it's okay if it's not that pure color. So you have a little bit of that purple in there. That's fine. That might get covered up later. This is kind of fun because it has like ombre or gradient on it. All right, kind of in the middle here. So I'm going to get all my magazines, all the colors prepared, and then I will be ready to glue them onto my surface. So I am going to start with my subject matter, which is the hand. You could start in the background if you're unsure of this process. But basically what I'm doing is I am looking to see where the value changes. And I am going to place the different colors, kind of fit them into the spaces. So I see like here on this area of the thumb and then down here to the palm, that's very light. So it's really difficult to glue these small pieces. So when possible, I'm going to recommend that you apply glue onto your index card or whatever surface you are gluing the magazine onto. So one thing I want to make sure is that whenever I do place down some magazine, that I have it completely covered in glue. So I can glue straight onto the surface, but I could also turn this over and in my workspace make sure. But I want to get it glued all the way up to the edge. And if I need to cut or trim and get a smaller size, I can do that to fit into a specific area. Da, da, da. And eventually I'm going to cover this entire index paper up with magazine images. So what the next thing I'm looking at, that's my lightest value, and I see that it gets a little darker over there. So I can move to one of my darker values. Looks like this was just a little darker. Now I don't have to just use the colors that are in my reference photo. If you want to completely change the colors, you can do that. That kind of fit perfectly right there. So anytime I'm overlapping, I want to make sure that the whole piece of magazine has glue on the back of it. And I kind of go back over and make sure that I press it on there also. So when I get into smaller spaces, this is where I might start to use my scissors and cut it so it fits right on next to that line or space. And I'm just going to keep going like this. So I'm either applying glue. Now this glue is purple, but it dries clear. So it's not as exact or precise as maybe you would like, but this is the process. And I'm just going to continue to cover and change the values along with the photo reference. So at some point I am going to get really picky about getting these to fit right up next to the shape, and that's when I start cutting. But you really don't want to cut a piece smaller than that. It's going to start to get difficult to handle. All right, so I'm going to continue in this way. If I see right here see that really dark shadow in there? So that's where I would want my darkest value. And I'm going to try to get it to fit without leaving any of that white index paper showing, index card. So I can try to fit it, see how that would look, see if I need to do any cutting before I actually glue that area. So I do have to work pretty quickly in an area, so I don't want to glue the whole card first and then put it down. I want to work just little by little. So that is the process. You're going to continue until everything is filled. And as a final layer, you can wait till it is all completely dried, and then you can add a layer of matte medium on top, and that will help seal it. So go all the way, make sure that you fill the entire index paper or card with covered with that magazine.